I've got a pen and I've got a phone. And I can use that pen to sign executive orders. I've got a pen to take executive actions where Congress won't. And I've got a telephone to rally folks around the country. I've got a pen and I've got a phone, and that's all I need.
Can I borrow your pen?
Sure, there you go. I've got a pen.
He's got a pen. He's got a phone. That's his second-term strategy for policy changes, but will it come back to haunt and hurt him?
House Speaker John Boehner announced he plans to sue President Obama over his alleged abuse of executive power.
But does he even have a shot of this working? Joining us now to discuss is the host of Fox News Sunday, Mr. Chris Wallace. Hey, Chris, good morning.
Do you have a pen?
Good morning to you, Ainsley.
Thank you. Does he have a shot?
John Boehner, well, there are a couple of problems. First of all, the courts have been very reluctant to get into these kind of battles between the executive and the legislative branch. Among other things, they say that Congress lacks standing. In effect, what they're saying is, look, if the president has an executive order and he decides to do something, maybe the people who are affected by that, let's say Obamacare, one of the companies that is affected by the employer mandate, they could sue, but Congress doesn't. That's one problem. The other problem is the courts have generally said, you've got other remedies that you can do to try to sort this out, the separation of powers. You can defund the White House or defund the program you don't like. Ultimately, you can impeach the president. Generally, the courts want to stay out of the fights between the legislative and executive branches. The other problem is, even if this does get accepted by the courts and does go through the courts, as we all know, that takes a long time. And yes, this could set a precedent, but it might well be after this president is out of office.
Ron Paul this week said it's more of a political stunt, more of a PR move, really, that, well, might drum up some support. And, of course, he was making the argument that the far right wing of the party was pressuring John Boehner to do something about this, and for him to move toward the impeachment route would really rally the Democratic side of things. Do you agree, disagree?
Oh, I think impeachment would be, a total political misstep. And I have to say, when John Boehner was asked about it, he walked away from that as quickly as possible. We all saw how well that worked with Bill Clinton. It ended up very much redounding to the benefit of the Democrats of the 1998 midterm. I don't think there's any chance that that's going to happen. It's interesting, though, that you say Rand Paul says it was a stunt. Guess who else says it's a stunt? Barack Obama. So that puts them on the same wavelength on this particular issue. And I should say, John Boehner very upset because he says, look, this is a serious issue. And to give you an idea of the whole question of executive overreach, this isn't just a, political jockeying. You had the Supreme Court this week rule 9-0, unanimous ruling, actually signed by a liberal Justice Stephen Breyer, saying that the president overstepped his bounds with these recess appointments when Congress, or rather the Senate, is in, quote, recess for 3 days. Breyer had a pretty simple statement. He said, the Senate is in recess when the Senate says it is, and the president doesn't get to decide when the Senate is in recess. So there's a real question here about the separation of powers and executive overreach, and we're going to be talking about it at the top of the hour. We have Bob Goodlatte, the chairman of the House Judiciary Committee, a Republican, and Javier Becerra, one of the top House Democratic leaders. I suspect it's going to be a very interesting debate about executive powers, what the limits on executive power are. That sounds like a compelling and timely program. Thanks a lot, Chris. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Chris.
Bye, guys.
Have a great show.